When she thought of Charlie, who was thinking about it all night, only a few hours' drive away from him, Nanako really wanted to see him. However, when she thinks about her inconvenience now, it will inevitably be known by her father when she sees him in Tokyo, and she can only give up this idea unwillingly. At this time, the dense dark clouds in the sky quietly dispersed at some point, and one after another star gradually emerged from the cloud. Nanako sighed and said to herself, "It seems that there should be no snow tonight." After that, she put away the mobile phone, controlled the wheelchair with both hands, left the deserted yard, and returned to her room. With the help of the maid, Nanako soaked in the hot spring for a while. The pain in her body is still very serious, almost 24 hours, suffering from pain all the time. Originally, the doctor advised her to wear an analgesic pump. The analgesic pump is a device that can automatically infuse fluids at a constant rate and can continuously push pain medications into her veins. Generally speaking, people who have been severely injured or who have just had an operation should wear an analgesic pump, which can relieve pain to a great extent. But Nanako has been reluctant to use it. That's because the painkillers will cause certain damage to her nerves. Once the painkillers have been used for a long time, it will be more difficult for her to recover in the future, and it is very likely that she will be an invalid who can no longer practice martial arts. Therefore, she has been clenching her teeth and insisting, relying on tenacious willpower to resist physical pain. The natural hot spring in the mansion is taken from the underground hot spring eye. It is rich in minerals and rich in selenium, which is of great benefit to the body and can relieve body pain to a certain extent. But because her body is still injured, she can't soak in the hot spring for a long time, no more than 1 hour a day, so Nanako's happiest time every day is the time in the hot spring. Soaking her body in the hot spring, Nanako couldn't help but think of Charlie again. She remembered how she was looking for him in the villa area where Charlie lived with the shyness of a girl. At that time, she was nervous as a little quail in front of him. When she was at a loss, he gave Charlie a cup of milk tea in his hand, and lied that she was going to drink it, but he did not expect that he actually took a sip of the milk tea. And just before Charlie drank it, Nanako had just used that straw. That kind of indirect kissing behavior was the most ambiguous thing Nanako had done with a man since she grew up. It was also the indirect kiss that Nanako has been thinking about ever since. Thinking of Charlie's appearance, she subconsciously raised her slender fingers and wrote Charlie in traditional characters on the water. There were waves of soft water ripples on the water, but she couldn't keep any of the strokes she wrote down. It was this fleeting trace that allowed Nanako to be confident and bold, and write Charlie's name on the water again and again without leaving any traces. This night, Nanako couldn't sleep for a long time. This night, the sky in Kyoto gradually cleared. The heavy snow predicted by the meteorological department did not come. The early morning weather forecast stated that due to the impact of the air currents, the heavy snow that was originally expected to fall last night was estimated to be 2 to 3 days later than originally planned. The snow was delayed, and Nanako was somewhat regretful. She always felt that this was an expression of God's unbeauty. Thinking of Charlie, who was only a few hundred kilometers away from herself, but couldn't rush to meet him, a melancholy thought suddenly popped into her heart. Perhaps, I have no relationship with Charlie. The next day, Orus Hill. Chin Gang rushed to Chin's warehouse for storing medicinal materials early in the morning and personally directed the staff to prepare the herbal medicines for Charlie. Workers at the scene began to pack the boxes in full swing, and he urged on the side, all medicinal materials must be checked manually before they are packed to ensure that the medicinal materials are not loaded incorrectly, there should be no deterioration or damage, and that the amount of medicinal materials is sufficient. Do you understood? Understood, President Chin. A group of employees hurriedly responded. Chin Gang nodded in satisfaction and continued, before this afternoon, be sure to prepare the first batch of medicines and then send them to the airport. I have already contacted the air cargo company and will take off at 10 o'clock tonight. The goods will be delivered to Tokyo. At the same time, at the Su family residence in Eastcliff. For 20 years, the old master of the Su family held a morning meeting in the main hall of the mansion every day. This morning meeting was just like the early dynasty of the ancient emperor, and the children of the Su family had to report to the old master the progress of various businesses in the daily morning meeting. If the father has any orders, he will also announce them at the morning meeting. The Su family is thriving, and there are more than 30 children and relatives participating in the morning meeting. The rules at the meeting are very strict. The old master sat down on a half-meter high step, facing everyone, very carden. Children, grandchildren, and relatives sit in several rows according to their status and generation. At this time, Mr. Su was sitting on a chair like a dragon, looking at the children below the stage, and said in a carden manner, "The recent international crude oil situation continues to be turbulent, and the global economic downturn has caused international import and export trade to be affected. Now many ocean shipping companies are struggling. It is a good time for our Su family to buy bottoms and buck the trend. The cooperation with the Japanese must be accelerated.